Alright, in this video I'll show you how to format your ebook for Kindle Direct Publishing. So you got your book back from the ghostwriter and now you have to format your book. So the option that you can do is format yourself. I'll show you how to format your book on Microsoft Word. You can definitely get away with this. It's very basic, but it's very simple. And when I started publishing, this is what I did. I started formatting all the books, all the ebooks on my own, and I've never really had a bad review in terms of the formatting being basic. Because like I mentioned in the last video, being basic doesn't mean it's bad. It just doesn't have all the extra stuff. Like if you would use 100 covers, they put all the extra designs and illustrations, and it's super nice. But all those stuff are just a pleasant surprise. It's nice to have, but it's definitely not necessary. So you can format yourself. You can use Microsoft Word. You can also use Kindle Create. Although I haven't used Kindle Create option myself, but I'll put this link in the description. And so Amazon has its own formatting tool. And the other option would be to outsource this process. So in terms of outsourcing, the option would be, again, if you want the highest quality, professionally done formatting, it's 100 covers. Basic formatting, you can use Fiverr. And the third option is formatting with Vellum. So Vellum is a tool that you can purchase. It's $270 or something like that. And it does really nice formatting for your book. Now you can either purchase Vellum and learn how to do it, or you can also reach out to a friend of mine on Facebook and tell him I sent you. So my friend Edward, he does formatting with Vellum for you, and his price is really good. So he does ebook and paperback formatting 2 for 1 at a very good price. So reach out to him, just tell him you watched this video and you're reaching out to him. So this is his full name, and this is his profile, so don't get confused with the other one. This is him. So yeah, definitely reach out to him if you're interested in working with him. And in case you missed the last video, if you want a super nice formatting for your book for ebook and paperback, then you can use 100 covers. You just want to go to the link in the description and then come down here and click on formatted books. It'll take you to the book formatting site. And again, this is a premium option. I don't recommend it to everybody. It's only if you want to make your book the best it can be, then you can do this option, but it's definitely not a requirement to do this. And I will also link to some Fiverr gigs that I found on ebook formatting if you want to use Fiverr as well. So how important is formatting? Compared to book covers, it's significantly less important. And don't get me wrong, it's still very important to have proper formatting. But what I'm trying to say is, compared to your book covers, it's significantly less important. I've never had a bad review based on my basic formatting. Most people don't care about basic formatting as long as it's not bad formatting. And bad formatting is, as an example, the hyperlinks or table of contents is just jumping to the wrong locations and stuff like that, right? Those stuff will get you negative reviews, but as long as the formatting itself is properly done, people wouldn't really care if there's illustrations inside or no illustrations inside. A nice formatting with extra illustrations are just a plus, and it's definitely not mandatory. What I recommend is, if you're publishing just to promote your existing business and are only making one or few books, I would pay for the premium formatting option with 100 covers, because you want to make the book as good as it can be to promote your other business that you have. But for all other people, you can simply use Fiverr or do this formatting on your own, which I'm going to show you how to do right now. Alright, so this is a very basic formatting that I'm going to show you. This is what I did when I first got started. I'm going to assume that you're going to get your book back from the ghostwriter and there's literally no formatting done. It's looking like this. In this case, what you want to do is, starting from the beginning, you want to first come over here, make the title, and then you can change the fonts and whatever, but every time you click on it, it's going to show up as title. So you just want to mark it as title here. Come down, and once the title page is done, so just make it look nice, right? Use whatever fonts you think is good. I like to just use Georgia. I always just use Georgia here. And then the title, you can play around with size. This is the subtitle. Subtitle, you don't really have to mark it as subtitle. You can just leave it at normal. That is okay too. Once the first page is done, you insert page break here. And I forgot to mention one thing. The very first thing you want to do is click here, this thing. I don't know what it's called, but it shows you all the invisible spaces. So it makes formatting pretty easy. But add page break. Page break just separates the pages, right? So it tells the Word doc that the page ends here. So you can just go to the next page. So if you don't do page break and you just put a bunch of spaces, right? And if you remove this, it wouldn't work as, like, the second page wouldn't start right at the top of the second page as long as you don't do page break. It's going to start like somewhere weird in the middle when you actually preview it on Kindle. So that is why you want to do page break instead. Then the second page will start immediately from the top. Of course, as long as you remove these extra spaces, then it'll start from the top of the second page. So for the body, you can highlight, and then for normal, you can do right here, justify, and then come back and change it to Georgia if you want to do that, and insert page break again. Now we have the first chapter, which is the introduction. So we have the chapter title here, right? So for the chapter title, you want to do heading 1. So all chapter titles will be heading 1. If you have like sub-chapters where you want to kind of link to something within the chapter, you can do heading 2 or heading 3, but only heading 1 is really required. So you do heading 1, and what you could do is, instead of clicking on heading 1 first and then changing the font to something else or changing the size, underlining it or moving it into the middle, what you could do is simply right click here and you can modify it. And what happens with modifying is you can change this to Georgia or whatever font you want to use, whatever size you want to do. I usually just do Georgia 16 bold, double space in the middle, so align centered, or align center text. So this is what I do for chapter titles. Click OK. So what happens is you change the setting here. So every time you click on heading 1, it's going to automatically change it to that setting, which is Georgia 16 bullet point, bold, double space in the middle. So keep going. So the body is normal, which is fine because it's already on normal, and then you can justify it here. The chapter is done, so you insert page break. This is the free gift page, which is considered another chapter. So heading 1, page break. Next page, you can remove extra space if you want to, or leave one line from the top. That is up to you. I would just make it consistent throughout the entire book, right? So if you're adding one space, leave the space on every single chapter. If you're removing it, leave that for every single chapter. All right, so heading 1, the body is justified, and we can insert page break. So you're literally just repeating the process here. So you keep doing that for the entire book. I'm going to do just one more, and I'll show you the final step here. Okay, so justify and insert page break. So I don't want to do the entire thing because it's going to take time, but say you finish the entire book just doing this. What you want to do is go back up and add a table of contents page. So usually table of contents comes after copyright. At least that's how I like to do it. So we have the copyright page here. Just click on the page break page, and then you can do add a page break. So copyright ends here, and then we just added a new page. So usually I just type in table of contents, and you want to go to references, go to table of contents, click on this arrow thing, custom table of contents, and you can play around with it. It's up to you. You can use any format you like. Usually I just do this one from template. And if you have like heading 2, heading 3, then show levels means exactly that. So when you have show levels 3, it's going to show up to heading 3. You can decrease this. If you only have heading 1, you can just leave it at 1. That's what I usually do. But it doesn't really matter, because if you don't have any heading 2s or heading 3, you can leave it at 3 and it's just not going to show up. So you want to unclick this show page numbers because it's a Kindle book, so page number is kind of irrelevant, but you definitely want to use hyperlinks instead of page numbers, so leave this on. When you click OK, the table of contents will come up, and a lot of times it picks up the title for some reason, and also the table of contents is showing up here because the table of contents that I entered is on heading 1. But you can actually just delete this here like this, and you can play around with the font. I usually like to make it a little bigger, make it look a little nicer, and increase space, something like that. So we're done because the table of contents is good to go. So you can see it's clickable, right? So it's already hyperlinked. So when you click on it, it takes you to the stuff. So that is why it's important to mark it as heading 1, so that when you create a table of content, it shows up and it's hyperlinked to the location. So that is how you format your ebook for Kindle. Nothing special, very basic, but yeah, that's how you do it. Alright, that's it for the video. So the action steps obviously is to format your ebook. Choose between the 3 options: to outsource or just to follow the video and format it yourself. And I'll see you guys on the next one.